Welcome to My Business Matters, the Michigan Chamber podcast.
Hello, I am Amanda Toy, the Michigan Chamber's Vice President of Membership and Partnership. Welcome to another episode here on My Business Matters. As the traditional kickoff for Michigan's peak tourism season is fast approaching via Memorial Day, we are absolutely thrilled to have the guru of travel for the Great Lakes states with us today. Myself, coming from hospitality originally, I am just thrilled to have Mr. Dave Lorenz, Vice President of Travel Michigan, home of the state's epic Pure Michigan campaign. Dave, how are you?
I am doing fine. Thank you for that very nice introduction. Let's just hope I don't disappoint too much.
Oh, no. And gosh, our Great Lakes state will never disappoint either. Let's jump right in. I know we have a lot to talk about today. So at the 30,000-foot view, Dave, can you tell us how travel and tourism rank wise within Michigan as far as being a leading industry in Michigan after an incredibly challenging pandemic set of years here, and how it's hit our economy and what the rebound is looking like?
Yeah, well, travel and tourism has always been important to Michigan, even back in the day before people even thought about promoting it. We've always been known as a place with abundant natural beauty. And as time went on, people started to understand that we also offer these really cool city experiences. We had our difficult times in the past, even before COVID, a lot of different difficult times, like the Detroit story and how difficult Detroit, the issues that Detroit was going through for decades, and the folks who were promoting Michigan before me, they of course had to deal with all those things, those big challenges. When I came to Travel Michigan 21 years ago, we were still dealing with some of those things. I think to a great degree, people had lost faith in this state. They had started to believe that our best times had passed us by, and I think that when Pure Michigan was introduced 17 years ago now. Can't believe it's been that long.
17 years.
Yeah. I think that, in addition to encouraging people to travel here, I think that the Pure Michigan brand and the way we presented the state from a realistic perspective, that we were a place with this abundant natural beauty, really unique experiences, authentic destinations, and friendly people. I think, and I know, that people bought into that because it's the truth. And even though we were still going through these evolutionary changes in some of our bigger cities that were going through challenges, we could also tell the real story that they were coming back and this real renaissance was happening to Detroit. So we've been able to tell that story as it's evolved. People have understood that it's the truth from our perspective, and they bought into it. And I think that sense of pride by Michigan residents has helped to spur on additional growth and prosperity, and I think it will continue to do so. And of course, we were really doing well leading up to the pandemic, and record-breaking volume of travelers and traveler spending through 2019. And of course, like everybody else, COVID hit, and we were devastated. The travel industry in Michigan has always been that second or third biggest sector of the economy. Right. Manufacturing, we're proudly a manufacturing state, but travel and tourism and agriculture, we kind of take that second, third position, however you look at it, mm-hmm. and we're so closely aligned. It doesn't really matter what the ranking is, as long as everybody knows how important all three are. And we were all hit by COVID. We tried to do our best during that time to use the brand in a different way, to bring people together and to remind everybody that, hey, there's no reason for us to be fighting over wearing masks and taking shots and all that stuff. We need to realize that we're all trying to do the best, and we're people of two peninsulas, but we're one Pure Michigan. And I think that helped as well. At least I hope so. And then since then, we've been trying to tell this real story of this really cool place. And I'm really happy to say we just got the 2022 numbers. And boy, it's great to see the comeback of travel and tourism. Came back faster than I thought. Overall, the state is almost at 2019 levels in some places, over. The challenge is that this comeback has been unbalanced, where our northern Michigan communities, our nature-based communities, they've all done very well, but our bigger cities are still challenged. So our goal the next year or two is to get people to go back to our cities as well, as we also try to encourage people to go to places where people appear to be different than themselves. Mm-hmm. Because if there's ever been a time that we really need to try to understand each other and appreciate each other and accept one another, it's now. And we've had all these issues, serious issues. And luckily for us, we learned in Detroit in the 60s that you need to treat people with dignity and respect as the starter. And then you need to try to understand each other and appreciate each other. So this year, we've rolled out what we call our Keep It Fresh campaign.
Keep it fresh.
Keep it fresh.
Okay.
Trying to encourage people to get out there and explore the places that maybe they've never been to before. And go to these places where maybe the culture seems to be different, because what they'll find is it's a great experience. They'll learn more about themselves and about others, and the basic principle that we're all the same in the most essential and important ways. We all want a better life for our kids and grandkids. So yes, we're a tourism marketing agency. It's our main goal. But in doing that, we get to influence a lot of other things, including social integration and acceptance. And we get to inspire people to stay here or to move here and maybe have their business here. And I'm really proud of what has happened so far with the campaign and the work of our team. And I see great things in the future.
I can't believe it's been almost 20 years, Dave, since Pure Michigan launched. And you had mentioned something that really sparked a memory. We all have, we'll call it COVID memories, right?
Yeah.
I remember it was right around Easter, I think 2021, and everyone doing new landscaping in their yard. I was no different.
Yeah.
And I heard you on a podcast, and I don't even remember who hosted it, but it was so inspirational hearing all of these tour and travel leaders throughout the state of Michigan and this positive response. Musicians were brought on. It was a fundraiser. And I bought the t-shirt, and it said exactly what you just shared: 2 peninsulas, 1 great state together. And the industry really rallied during COVID and brought people together. And, something else you said that really hit home for me is as far as the value of tourism and travel and education for ourselves, for our children. We tell our kids all the time on vacation, even staycations here in the great state of Michigan, we can learn so much about other people by getting outside of our own hometowns and going other places. So I'm so glad you touched on that. So that was a good look back. What about the rest of this calendar year? What are the forecasts? We can talk numbers, we can talk stories, however you want to do it. But what's the vibe for tour and travel here in the state of Michigan for the rest of 23?
Yeah, well, I wish I could say we only market by our gut reaction and what we have learned over the years, but we kind of cheat. We use a lot of research.
We got some data behind it.
Yeah, we do. We're a data-based organization, always have been. And today there's so much research and data that we all provide each other through our phones and other devices and other ways. So when you carry your phone, we can tell, what you're looking at, when you're booking, when you come, what you spend, where you go. A little creepy maybe, but we don't know it's you. We just know it's someone,
right.
And we know where they're coming from as well. So we know that. And then we also do research on sentiment. So we know that people are looking for the type of destinations that we provide here in Pure Michigan. They want to go to places that represent their beliefs. They want to go to places that are truly welcoming to all. They want to go to places that are considerate of environmental sustainability, and we are. And they want to go to places where they can experience wellness because, man, we all need psychological help right now after all we've been through. And that's actually what you get when you travel, especially to a place like Pure Michigan, because there are so many places to unwind and be yourself and do some self-exploration as you explore the state. Mm-hmm. So we know they're going to be looking for that. And luckily, we are marketing to all those folks. And by all those folks, we mean everyone. In fact, we have our biggest budget ever, thanks to the administration and the legislature. And we have a $10.3 million EDA grant to help us out as well. That allows us to not only get to that greater audience, as we typically do, but we get to so-called niche travel audiences. So we're targeting African-American travelers and LGBTQ travelers and the Hispanic traveler and travelers with disabilities. And if you look at that in reality, when you start adding up all those little niches of travel, you find out they're not little. And you find out they're a really big part of our overall audience. So it's really great that we have the budget to be able to do that this year, to be able to say that, you are welcome. Whoever you are, whoever you identify as, you're welcome. And you're going to find a place that you're going to feel welcome here. Realizing all the time that we're not perfect there are some knuckleheads out there that maybe will not be totally welcoming, but most of us are. And so part of it is aspirational, but most of it is telling the real story of what people will experience. I think it's going to be a great year, especially for nature-based communities. I think that's going to continue. I think that people are going to start to go back to cities. I already see it in Lansing when I'm here at the office during the week, as much as I can be. I see that Lansing's coming back, and during COVID, Lansing did some really great things. I mean, sure, we lost some restaurants, some other things, but man, they've done some great things, and the building and basically the downtown looks awesome. And
it really
the experiences, same thing in Detroit, same thing in Grand Rapids, same thing in over and over and over. Just keeps on going.
So much investment in the area and all throughout the state, like you said, Dave. I was so pleased working in downtown Lansing. I went out to lunch here in Washington Square. And for the first time in 3 years, I had to wait in a long line to pick up my lunch.
Good sign.
And I was fist bumping and cheering, and I was never more pleased to have to wait 15 minutes to grab lunch.
I had a person come in from out of state, a colleague, and we did the same thing at CUPE. Just stood in line forever. I said, I don't know what's happening here. I think people are coming back. Those darn tourists, too many of them.
I love it. I love it. So speaking of Pure Michigan, 17 years. I can't believe that. This is absolutely amazing. And I think all of our listeners, you're probably nodding your heads. You're very familiar with the brand, all of you. People from out of state will say, oh gosh, I saw, a bus wrapped in Chicago, or I'm from California and I'm familiar with the brand. So we came out, we went camping, or, we hit up the top 3 big cities, and what a great state. And then went over to the lake after. Does Pure Michigan ever reach a saturation point as far as the value of marketing? Do you need to change the story? What does that look like long-term for the vision of the brand?
Yeah, so I'll try to be somewhat specific and somewhat vague. So Pure Michigan doesn't change because Pure Michigan is only the term we use to represent the product, or the state in this case. So we, of course, change and evolve, and we're trying to make sure we're presenting the state as it really is, and a little bit how we hope it will be in the future. So that's the case. The Pure Michigan brand, when it comes to the marketing effort, we've made changes every year. And the cool thing is that most people don't even notice it. And that's when you're doing it the right way. We do look at research. And, there's a lot made of our ROI analysis. We have a third-party vendor, and they tell us, that this last year, we brought in like $11 in tax revenue for every dollar we spent.
Incredible.
That's great. And I do look at that. It's a grade of the past performance, and it's always nice when it's going up, but it hasn't always gone up. And we've had these ups and downs. And what we learned from the downs, even more so than the ups, is what we've done maybe not perfectly or sometimes even wrong. And we make adjustments to that. So I look at those insights. So what can we learn of what people really want and how we need to present the state? So we're always adjusting the campaign presentation. And we've made actually dramatic changes in the way we're telling the story. This year, with the new campaign, the videography is more active. There are more people in it. You'll see more diversity in that because of all those people. You're going to hear more lively music. We've had Cider House Rules for many years. That was great, but it's a little pricey. And we felt it was time to up-tempo the music, so we worked with Assemble Sound in Detroit to come up with our new music bed. You'll hear another voice with the ad. Tim Allen's been around for a long time, does a great job. We love Tim. He loves us. And we felt it's time to start mixing in other voices. So Jessica Karen Moore, a performer from Detroit and poet, pretty well known in Detroit. I think she's going to be known all over because of her work she's done for us right now. So hearing those two voices together is awesome. And we're going to be introducing more voices. And we'll make changes as time goes on. And I hope, for the most part, people will love it. They may be a little shocked here and there, but that's okay, because sometimes you need to get attention, and we'll continue to evolve with the times.
Yeah, and it probably, there's so much research that goes behind that, and I know that's not the purpose of the podcast, but isn't it interesting to see a brand morph and change, but just so subtly to continue to capture not just our heads and where we're spending our precious discretionary income, but also our hearts.
Yeah.
And it's great to see it continue to morph and evolve with the brand of Pure Michigan. So, Dave, I could be traveling into a little bit of a dangerous question here. So we can pivot if you want.
There are no dangerous questions. Maybe dangerous answers.
Right. You know what? Well put. Yeah, this one's going to be on you, I guess. But do you have a favorite destination or a favorite activity in Michigan? Or if you want to go more subtle, maybe some recommendations of a lesser known place, a little hidden gem somewhere in Michigan.
Yeah, there's so many. It always depends on the day. I'm asked that question a lot. I used to give my home address. I mean, literally my address.
Set up the lemonade stand.
Yeah, and then somebody said, you really shouldn't do that for security reasons. That's right. It's probably one of my security answers. But, so that used to be the case because I was never home. And I'm kind of getting back to that again because I'm gone so much. My wife and I, as long as we've been together, I've been mostly on the road for 38 years. But during the last few years during COVID, I was there all the time. Good news is we learned apparently when I retire, we're going to be able to stay together. And then we also realized that, it's really important to get out there. And as a traveler, to get out there together as a couple, but also for me to be able to get out there and do the things I need to do around the state, and how much I missed the travel industry and how I missed various communities. So things I like to do, my wife and I love hiking. It's why we built our house near P.J. Hoffmeister State Park in the Muskegon-Ottawa County border. And we live very close to the lake. Very seldom do we go on the beach in the summertime. We really also built our house there because we love cross-country skiing, and they have a great cross-country skiing course. Getting a little bit too difficult at our age now, but so we're looking for golf courses now and other places to cross-country ski. But we actually love that. And then it always depends on the day and the season. Golfing, I love. Cross-country skiing, I do love. I actually like to do a whole bunch of things. And luckily, in Michigan, we can do them all. I mean, that's the thing about us. There's something for everyone. I used to say, unless you want salt water and sharks. But you can find them at Great Lakes Crossing at the Sea Life exhibit.
Sea Life exhibit.
So we, quite literally, we have everything that I've been looking for. And there is something for you out there as well. Whatever you're into, you will find it. And we try to give you ideas by going to Michigan.org. You can look at the Experience tab there and just look through some story ideas that will inspire you to travel. So I encourage you to do that. It's time to keep it fresh and to travel in pure Michigan.
I love that. And to keep it fresh, I think goes with our seasonality of Michigan too, right? So all the different activities that we could love doing indoor and outdoor, we could each plug in our own story and our own experience that's unique in every single season, which I think is one of the main reasons that my family is here to stay, because we just love the variety of what Pure Michigan offers throughout the seasons, both in awesome big city urban areas and out in the natural beauty of Pure Michigan too. I just want to make sure that we leave a little bit of time, Dave, for any last thoughts that we may have not covered. You're in this industry day in and day out, talking to employers about what their biggest challenges are, what their greatest opportunities are, sharing the vision, being the great inspiration that you are for this industry in Michigan that's so important to our economic impact. But any last thoughts that you wanted to make sure that you got across to our listeners today?
Yeah, on the business case first, we, like everyone else, every other business category, we need people to come back to work. And I understand it, why people haven't come back to work. I mean, they've found that they can so-called survive, at home by themselves or with their families, and maybe they're doing childcare. Maybe they only have one vehicle, hard to get around, don't have the transportation they need. There are a lot of other issues. But I'm really hoping that, let's say you're in a situation where maybe you've retired after a long career, and now you realize maybe you're a little bored. We have a lot of part-time jobs too. We have a lot of seasonal jobs available. Have you ever thought about working on Mackinac Island all summer long? I have. Have you thought about maybe working at a golf course and being that starter? I have. So, man, there's so many things I want to do when I retire, and maybe these will be some of them. But we have these jobs available right now, whether you're looking for a part-time job, full-time job, and the career path in travel can go wherever you want it to go. My first job was washing dishes. I'm now state travel director.
Right.
You never know where you're going to go. So I did come up from a small town, and a little town called Cloverville, a suburb of Fruitport, and never thought I'd do anything, but this state has allowed me to do that. You should never let where you're from get in the way of where you're going. And you can do that in travel. So consider this at least a beginning to your career, or a return to a career, or even a part-time job. We have them. And I really do hope that people do that.
Some of the best people in hospitality You can't be in hospitality and not love, interacting with individuals.
Yeah, I might
say
just
that from the heart.
Well, I used to work for Meijer too, so maybe I'll be a welcomer, at the door too. I don't know what I'm going to do when I retire. I'm starting to think retirement out loud, so I need to start thinking of what I'm going to do. So.
All these part-time jobs you're lining up. I think you're going to be working 2 full-time jobs. But hopefully the state gets you for a long, long time. But I'm pretty sure, listeners, that we just heard Dave Lorenz might be on Mackinac Island long term. So with that, unfortunately, we are out of time. But I want to say thank you so much, Dave, for joining us today and being a thought leader as you are. And thank you to all the listeners for being out there and joining us today as we talked about Pure Michigan and tour and travel in Michigan. May you all be able to enjoy this beautiful spring and summer season coming just around the corner, enjoying all of the great businesses that contribute to this industry. And please make sure that you tune in next time for our episode as we continue this conversation, but with 2 different special guests who are knee deep every day in the wonderful tourism industry that we all enjoy. Until then, thanks.